The word snob is taking me, it's just been an amazing journey for me. And I would have never thought just something as simple as the word snob would change my life. I grew up pretty much in a Montessori school environment, and I am the youngest of 7 siblings. I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters. My parents are a lot older. My father will be, I believe, 82 in February, and my mother, she's getting close to 80. But they were different types of parents to me. They really instilled in me to be proud of my individuality and to express myself and to always hone my creativity. And I went to a Montessori school called Children's House, and I'll never forget it. It was the best experience of my life because back then we used to be able to do these things called contracts, and we could decide what we wanted to do. It wasn't a set schedule. So as a child, I learned to make decisions and take responsibility for my day and what I wanted to learn and experience. And I feel like with that type of upbringing, it made me the person that I am today. We learned about sharing and having a respect for different cultures and people from different backgrounds. So it's interesting that leads me up to now when people say, why do you have a company called Psnob? Why would you name your company something so negative? And I said, well, it doesn't mean anything negative at all. And to be honest, when I thought of the name, it was almost just poking fun at those that were spending a lot of money on designer things and almost being duped in a sense because sometimes labels have gotten to the point where you might invest in a certain label and then someone is illegally making or manufacturing that label. And I wanted to play a part in changing the game when it came to just being creative and creating something original. So when I thought of the word snob, I literally, at the time I went to Virginia to file a trademark for it. And it was interesting because there was probably like 2,000 trademarks with the word S-N-O-B. No one thought of putting the P. So everyone thought I had this formula or something. Really, it was just common sense. If I put the P and say it silent, I said I could get away with doing the trademark, and I ended up being able to get the word trademarked and registered. But literally, I've always done artwork. I always painted large-scale murals, and I would do art shows, and I would hang my work up, and it was frustrating to me because they just sat there. A lot of people would come to your art show, they would walk past it, and they say, oh, that's nice. Oh, but I can't afford it. Oh, that's nice. And it was just sitting there really collecting dust. And I said, well, what if I did something that was actually functional? What if I tapped into a market that no one has ever thought of doing? And I literally took some of my canvas and I started cutting it up. And I ran it through a sewing machine. I have a background in fashion and pattern making. And it worked. It went through the sewing machine. But it took years to perfect it. It took years to figure out the formula for Snob because I wanted to be the person that created a brand that really symbolized something original, that really symbolized something that was just unheard of, so to speak. And I felt like it was the best of both worlds. My artwork didn't have to just sit on a shelf or sit on a wall. It could be carried and it could go from Indianapolis to New York to Paris to London. My artwork was being seen by many just by using a purse or a handbag as a vessel for my work. I was honored to meet Amy Ward, who introduced me to Raw. I've done many art shows in the past. Coming back to Indianapolis, it was almost starting from scratch. I built a brand in Atlanta and I was scared to come back to the Midwest because I knew the art scene was a little different. But when I participated with RAW, I was able to meet a lot of amazing people and other people that have great stories as well. And yes, I was nominated for Artist of the Year in Accessories. And I said to myself, if I don't win, it really doesn't matter because I have pretty much accomplished what I set out to do. And I feel like Psnob is a brand that is going to go far beyond handbags. It is a brand that is going to symbolize what it means to be an individual, being secure in yourself, being proud of who you are. And if I have to complete my mission by using a handbag, then I feel like I'm on the right track. So I'm very honored to be able to share my story, and I'm very honored to be here. And I'm actually happy to be back in Indianapolis. I never thought I would say that, but but on a romantic side, I was fighting it. I was living in Atlanta, and I was doing my art. I was busy all the time. I was tired, I was sad, I missed my parents, and I wanted to come home. I just remember saying, I just want to go home and see my mother and father. I just need a break. I don't want to see a paintbrush, I don't want to see paint, I just need a break. Psnob was driving me crazy. I felt like people weren't getting it. I felt like I wasn't getting the credit that was due, and I was beating myself up about it. And the solution to me was being able to come home and see my family. And come to find out, I reconnected with a friend of mine that I've known since I was 4 years old. We hadn't seen each other in over 25 years. And I set foot in Indianapolis on June 23rd. And do you know, he proposed to me in August, and we got married on June 23rd the next year. So I just want to say thank you. I'm happy to be here in Indianapolis, and I hope you all learn a little bit more about Psnob and follow my story, because it does not end here.
Tell us about this bag.
This particular bag, it's called a wristlet. And I started making smaller bags because the price was so high and I wanted people to at least own one. So I started making smaller purses. But it's actually really popular because ladies love it, because you could just stick, a little bit of cash, your card, and maybe a cell phone or whatever. And if you're out, you just can hang it on your wrist. But this is an original, and a lot of people thought in the beginning I was just buying bags and painting on them, but I actually paint on the canvas and cut it up and then stitch it. So I'll pass it around for everyone. You're welcome to look at it, open it, touch it. You could feel it. So it is a functional piece of artwork. So enjoy.